Hello and welcome to Phil 220 Logic. Um, this is just a little introduction to the course. It's sort of what you would get on the first day of class, with this being an online class, where I'll just walk you through the syllabus, give you a sense of how the course will work. Um, and if you have any questions, of course, you can follow up with emails. And then I also will, as we'll see, be having some live Zoom sections as well for people to ask me questions in person. So hopefully this helps, but if you still have questions, there's ways to get those answered. So this is the course information. Uh, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 8 a.m. There will be a live Zoom session. I'm not making those required. It's more of a discussion section. Uh, all of the lectures on the content will be posted asynchronously. In fact, they're all up there already. So you can watch those whenever, watch them at 3 a.m. if you want. Uh, but if you have questions and need help, which often students do in a logic class, I'll be there online every Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 8. So my name is Nate Greeley. I've been teaching at Cal Lutheran since 2022. I did my PhD at UCSD in philosophy and cognitive science. So my approach to a logic course um, comes a little more from, it's a little broader, I think, than a course you might get at another university sometimes, uh, particularly here where there's not a distinct critical thinking course from a logic course. Um, I have my own ideas about what's valuable to teach students when it comes to logic. And I think it's the stuff that is most directly applicable to your life. And so a lot of that I've learned from my work, my research in cognitive science, right, about the way our brains work and the little blind spots we have. Um, and so, whereas in maybe a more traditional logic course, you might do a real deep dive into deductive logic and start doing really complicated proofs. Um, I give you more of a survey of the good and bad ways of thinking that humans have discovered. So I'll get into that a little more. I'm getting a little ahead of myself, but yeah, that's my background in cognitive science. Sort of informs the way I teach logic. So that's my email there, ngreeley at Cal Lutheran. Uh, I'll have office hours in addition to so that again, the live Zoom will be like an open discussion. So any questions you have, you can ask. But if there's anything you want to ask in private or you need more time, I'll also be holding office hours on Zoom. All those links will be posted shortly. I think by the time you watch this lecture, they'll be posted. So as I said, all of the course content, including the lectures, is available asynchronously. So you could, if you're the type of person that doesn't need the live Zooms, doesn't need to come to office hours, you could do the whole course just through the modules in Canvas. That's certainly an option. And they're all set up in a series, so if you just work through it linearly, you get the reading, you get the lecture, you get the lecture notes, you get the homework, you get the homework answers are then posted at a certain time after the homework's due, so you can review your homework, the quizzes, the exams. It's all up there in the modules. Um, but for those, for some people that's great. Some people love that. For those who would prefer to interact at least virtually, that's what the Zoom sessions are for at the normal class time. So we can discuss the homework, we can check in, and anybody that has any questions, but it won't be a lecture. The lectures will be already posted on Canvas. So here's a little more. I already got into it, my approach to logic. So this is an introduction to logic. The way I'm going to understand logic is rather broadly, is not just deductive forms of reasoning, but any form of reasoning that is truth preserving, meaning if you start with true information, you're likely to get true information out, right? Um, which I'll explain, in the first lecture I talk about this, about truth, what we mean by truth in a logic class, why it matters for your life. But broadly, I mean, you want to fill your head with all the true propositions about the world, and you don't want to be believing false stuff about the world because you need to be in touch with the world if you want to get what you want out of life, because the world has something to say about it, right? The world puts up resistance, right? So you need as much information as you have about the world and how it's going to change over time that you can get. You want to fill your head with that. And logic is a rigorous way to preserve truth. So it's a way to make sure that you're feeding true propositions into your brain, and if you're making inferences, they're going to lead to true, or at least probably true, information as well. So Um, we're going to cover then a broad range of ways of doing that. Deductive logic is one that sometimes in a traditional logic course that's all you would cover, but we're also going to cover induction, statistical reasoning, causal reasoning, and then I'm also going to cover decision theory, right? So you can get all the information you want about the world, but to make a decision, there's an extra thing you need to add in there, which is your own values, right? Those matter to what you should do, right? Um, if you get information that eating Snickers bars increases your chances of diabetes by whatever 1%, that's good information. But what you do with that depends on whether you care about diabetes or whether you care how much you care about diabetes, whether 1% matters to you, right? And that's up to you. Your values are up to you. Um, so decision theory incorporates those, and it's an extra step, right, beyond having information about the world to know what to do with it. And so I like to cover decision theory as well. um, Learning outcomes. So this is just sort of something every university requires on the syllabus. Um, But yeah, I want you to be able to identify fallacious reasoning, right? Bad reasoning, reasoning that doesn't necessarily lead to true conclusions, or is not even likely to lead to true conclusions. Um, and those are caused by certain shortcuts that our brains use that, sometimes, most of the time even, are fine, right? They're quick and dirty ways to stay alive and reproduce, right? Basically, that's what your brain is evolved to try to do for you. But if you want more rigorous reasoning in a modern world, right, where it's you're not hunter-gatherers anymore, you need to be introduced to some of the types of reasoning that the humans have developed over thousands of years, right? And those include deductive, inductive, statistical, causal reasoning, and decision theory. So I want you to be familiar with all of those and be able to apply them in your life. So what are you graded on? Um, the things you learn in this course, it's not just um, facts to fill your head and then sort of delete when the course is over. Um, Logic is more of a skill, right? It's just an unavoidable part of this. It's as if this were a guitar class, right? And the final is, you have to play Stairway to Heaven. You will have to practice. You can't cram the night before and play Stairway to Heaven the next day. Same with the logic class. So we're going to have lots of regular homework exercises. There's going to be discussions. There's going to be live Zooms, opportunities to interact and practice this stuff, so that by the time it comes to the exams, you'll be prepared and you'll have the skills, right? It's part of it. It's in your bones and your hands as much as it is in your brain, sort of like shooting free throws or playing guitar. So there's going to be homework. There's going to be a discussion board where you can discuss the homework with each other. The homework is not graded on accuracy; it's graded on completion, right? So please feel free to talk about the homework. Say, I'm stuck on number two. I don't know how to answer this, and someone will help you answer it. That's great. I love that, right? Help answer other people's. That's not cheating, right? That's how I do the homework. Um, then there will be quizzes. Uh, there are, I want to say, I have to look at it. I want to say there's 8 quizzes, but we'll see what they add. They add up to like 15, 20% of your grade. It's on the next slide, the exact amount. Um, the homework and posting the discussion, like the homework and participation stuff, um, adds up to like 40% of your grade, right? Because I want to give you lots of points for participating. That's how, if you do all the participating, then, the quizzes and the finals will be easy, right? But if you're not doing that stuff, it's going to be impossible to do well in the course. So I want to reward you um, heavily and early for just showing up and participating. And, in an online class, for some folks, it can be easy to drift, and you just won't be able to pull it all together in the last week of the course, right? Um, there will be quizzes, and then there will be a midterm exam and a final exam. Those are both cumulative, right? So the midterm will cover everything from the first half of the course, and the final will cover everything from the course, because everything builds on the last thing. It's all a big holistic approach to reasoning. So we got 15% for attendance and participation. So in this course, that will take the form of posting to the discussion board, right? If I see you coming regularly to the live Zoom, right, and maybe you miss a discussion, I'll be aware of that, and that'll count. But the way I'm setting up, the live Zoom is not required. The discussion board is required, right? But as long as you're showing up to a mix of those, you should be fine. But it's easy to just post to the board. Just say, I'm stuck on number 3, or help somebody who's stuck, right? Homework completion, 25%. Again, not graded on accuracy. Just do it and turn it in. You'll get the points, right? Now, when you get full point, right? So you will get full points even if all your answers are wrong. So do make sure to look at the answers when they're posted and check your answers um, to make sure that you're doing it correctly. But the homework, I just want you to do it mainly. Then there's going to be quizzes, they're about 3% each, adding up to 20%. So those will tend to be, I don't know, 9, 10 questions on something we've been doing in the last week or 2 weeks. They're pretty focused on the recent material. Again, there'll be a midterm, 20% of your grade, a final exam, 20% of your grade, midterm cumulative uh, to the middle of the course. The dates are all in the syllabus and in the modules on the Canvas. So I'm not going to go over the course schedule day by day here. You can look at that in Canvas, but it's all filled in when the midterm is, when the final is, when the quizzes are posted, when they're due, and so on. The texts are available on Canvas, so for the excuse me, deductive logic stuff and the informal fallacies and cognitive heuristics, I use this text by Rick Grush. He was one of my advisors at UCSD, and he lets me use this. It's not really widely available. He just used it for his courses. And then for statistical reasoning, causal reasoning, and decision theory, I use Understanding Scientific Reasoning by Ronald Gear. And again, the relevant chapters, it's not the whole book, I post those to Canvas as well. So ideally, I mean, different people are different, right? So if you should definitely do the readings and watch the lectures, right, and look at the lecture slides. In what order you do it is I don't mind, however, whatever works for you, right? If you find you'd rather watch the lecture and then read the reading, and then the reading makes more sense to you, great. But you do have to do it all. And then last, again, there's a more complete syllabus uh, on the Canvas. I'm just hitting the highlights here. Uh, and we can talk about it again on Monday if you come to the live Zoom. Diversity and inclusion. Certainly, I want everyone to feel, that they're included, right? Their opinions are valued. They're accepted. I've never had a problem with students, being demeaning or hurtful to each other in class. The logic class, we don't really touch on any, political topics or anything like that. But you never know. Let me know if anything's happening where you're not feeling totally comfortable, and I'll do my utmost to fix all that, right? So just stay in the loop. Please let me know, and I'll do my best to fix any issues that you might have. Academic accommodation. Yeah, so if you think you might need that, so being an online class, I'm not making the quizzes and the exam timed, so I think needing extra time on exam will be a non-issue. Needing your own space will be a non-issue. But if you need some other accommodation, do let me know. You need to go through the proper channels for me to be allowed to help you with that. So the information, the contact information for the relevant office at Cal Lutheran is there, and it's also on the syllabus. Um, you know, I tend to be as flexible as I can with folks. At a certain point, it becomes total chaos if there's just, you know, if the due dates are constantly changing and all that stuff. So let me know if something comes up. I'm typically, fine to help give you an extra day or whatever you need. But sometimes I might have to say, I don't know if I can do this for you and do it for the entire class at the same time, unless you have, academic accommodations, and then that allows me to give you, what you need, even if it's not the exact same as the rest of the class. So, I think that is it for now. I will be posting the links. I'll be posting this, and I will see at least some of you on Monday. Um, it'd be nice if all of you showed up on Monday just to say hi. And then if you find the asynchronous way of doing things is better for you, then yeah, good for you. But I'll be around and online for folks that also want a little more interaction. All right, see you soon.